welcome to another episode of The Global Game Pod, where we focus on one thing and one thing only, and that's football.
What a goal from Ronaldo! It is absolutely magnificent! It is David Beckham!
With Coach Rudy and friends, this is Global Game Pod.
Yo, what's happening, people? Welcome to another episode of the Global Game Pod, brought to you by CKB Interiors. If you need a kitchen or a bedroom, you know what to do. All right, my guest for today, this guy, I call him the friendly giant. He's a big centre half, massive presence in the changing room, massive presence on the football pitch. I've had a pleasure of working with him for about 6 or 7 odd weeks at the back end of the season, which, obviously finished early. A man with a story, 100%. Big Michael Chambers. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
First of all, I always like to ask how you're getting on during this quarantine time, in terms of your training and stuff like that. You doing it or just being lazy?
No, I am doing a bit. Every morning I do a workout with a guy called Woz. He's got like a little live workout going, so I've been doing that every morning at 11, which is good. And then I've been linking up with one or two of my friends and just going on like bike rides. We're trying to do like 40k, 50k bike rides and stuff like that. So I'm getting a little bit done.
That's good. So it's like pre-season, yeah?
Yeah, sort of. I'm trying not to do too much because pre-season can obviously be a bit grueling. Obviously, we don't know when it's going to start up. It's all a bit up in the air football at the moment, so we don't really know what's happening. So I'm not trying to kill myself, but I'm keeping myself on my toes.
And I have to ask, how's a family? How's your dad? Because I like your dad. Your dad's a quite friendly guy, man. We always have a nice conversation.
I haven't actually seen my dad obviously since the quarantine started. He lives by the seaside, so he's and he's got like a bit of asthma and a bit of breathing problems himself. So he's staying indoors and trying to keep himself as safe as possible. So I haven't actually seen him, but I've been speaking to him most days, and he's good. He's quite cheerful. He loves his music, so that's keeping him sort of occupied. And I can only imagine how many records he's bought over the last 6-7 weeks. I love him. We've been in quarantine.
He's been on the eBay just buying all them albums up, yeah.
I can only imagine.
Nah, that's good, man. But I know where you get it from. After I met your dad, I was like, yeah, now I understand Chamber, and I understand exactly the upbringing and everything. So that's where I want to start. I want to go all the way back to the beginning, like you must have been a young, big Michael Chambers, though. You must have been a big kid, right?
You know what? I wasn't overly big. I was taller than most people, but I wasn't necessarily, say, as big as I am now. I had a little growth spurt sort of at secondary school, but no, I was relatively tall as a child as well. So
when does football start for you? What age does it start, and how does it introduce into your life? How does it introduce you?
Oof, wow, this is a story. I was probably about 10 when I started playing football. So maybe late compared to some people. I didn't actually like football at first. My dad, as you know, he was always into football. He coached like the district teams, and he had like a Sunday team he was coaching. But I never liked it. I was into hockey.
Okay.
So I was playing hockey and like ice hockey and stuff like that when I was younger. And then it was only one summer holidays. There was no hockey camps or nothing. So I was sort of bored at home. And one of my good friends at the time just knocked on my door and just sort of said that, like, I'm going to like football training. Like, I know you're bored. Do you want to come? And I sort of went. And then this was for Lewisham Youth. So this was way back. And then I just sort of picked it up from there. I started playing. And then, I was not saying I'm good now, but I probably wasn't very good back then. I probably was.
You're good. You're doing yourself injustice there. Like, you're good.
Yeah, I wasn't. So I wasn't the best. It took me a little while to get into it, but then I started picking up, and I've always been quite athletic and sort of been able to move. So I picked it up quite quickly, and I started to get into it, and then just sort of took off from there, really.
That's brilliant. So, listen, a lot of people because obviously I coach, and then I have got a son as well who's 5. So and he loves football. Yeah. He absolutely loves it. But I've never actually, I gave him a ball. Like, that was his first thing that I gave him. It was just natural. It was always going to happen. You understand? Like, I was actually wearing, not this one, this is a signed one, but I was actually wearing a Ronaldo shirt in the delivery room. Like, it was mad when he came. And the first thing I got was
Sorry, Rude.
That's cool. Yeah, the first picture I've ever got with him is with me in a Ronaldo shirt, and it's just all mad. So it was kind of like it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen, but I never actually pressured him. Even to this day, I don't pressure him to play football. It's up to him whether he wants to play or not. Was that the case with your dad as well? Obviously, because, you know, he was the coach and stuff, but it didn't seem like...
Rude, I've done something here. I can't see you. Someone called me and I cannot see you. Well, I don't know.
That's
Can you still see me though? I can't see. My Zoom thing just says Zoom now. I don't know why.
That's calm.
But no, my dad actually wasn't really interested in my football to begin with, to be honest. I think it sounds probably quite bad. My dad he's my biggest fan now and probably my biggest critic. But when I was a little bit younger, he wasn't overly interested because I think he didn't feel that I was interested in it. I wasn't invested in it. Obviously, I liked hockey and whatever. So it was my mum that used to take me to games. And people have said to my dad through the years, like, oh, are you trying to live your dream through him? But I think mine and my dad's relationship, he's never pressured me to do anything. He's only ever given me counsel and advice. And in a sense, he's just given his opinion on what he thinks is the best step for me. But he's never told me that I should do this or I shouldn't do that. He's always just advised me. And I don't think he's ever pressured me to this day. If I was to say to him today that I'm going to stop playing, he wouldn't say to me, no, you've got to stick with it, etc., etc. He would accept my decision, and if I explained it and he understood it, then he would stand by me whatever I decided to do. So no, he's not ever made me play or done this or done that. No.
No, that's really good. Because I always see loads of parents, and parents do seem very heavily inclined in their child's progression and their child's development, which they should. I've got no problem with that. But at the same time, there's a thin line between wanting the best for your kid and then pressuring him to do way too much. And like I said, I know your dad, and I can see that he is definitely your biggest supporter. But at the same time, he's going to tell you when you've had a bad game. I can just imagine that.
For sure. Yeah, he does. My dad, I love him, but he can chew your ear off some days. And some days, maybe if you've had a bit of a stinker, you don't really need someone chewing your ear off the 45-minute drive home or whatever it is. But I think as I've sort of got older, we understand each other a lot better. So he knows if I've had a bad game and I don't really want to speak, he sort of knows to ease back a little bit and just give my time just to sort of reflect and think. And usually once that little time has passed and I've thought about what I've done bad, what I've done well, what I could obviously improve on for next time, then obviously I'm in a better mindset to have that conversation and to reflect on what's happened.
That's brilliant. So you start football at the age of 10. You obviously start playing. You say you're not that good. I don't believe you, but you say you're not that good. When does it start becoming serious for you?
Ooh. It got serious kind of quickly, because after when I got to say about 11, I spent about a couple of years at Lewisham Youth, and then I think I went on to Moonshot. And then at this stage, I was playing in the district, and I was relatively good at this time. But I actually played centre forward when I was younger.
I always get these stories. So people are not the positions that they start off with, are they?
Yeah, I played centre forward, and then I was doing quite well for the Moonshot team and the district team. And we actually played a game against Millwall, just like a friendly game. And I think I might have scored a hat trick or something. And then they asked me to come down. I think I was 12 and a bit, maybe at this stage. And then I played in my first game against Tottenham. And then I think I scored a hat-trick again against Tottenham, and I got signed that day for Millwall.
Wow. The
next game was against Chelsea, and they were tough when I was younger. They were tough. They was a tough team. And I think it's really weird because the centre-back, he actually got injured that game. And because I was relatively taller, they ended up putting me centre-back. So then that's, in a sense, how my sort of centre-back story sort of started. And I spent a couple of years at Millwall, I think up until 14 maybe, until they turned it into a centre of excellence, I think, at the time.
Okay. Yeah.
And then all of us got offered 2-year contracts, but they said to us, because they were changing from an academy to centre of excellence, we could all leave. And at the time, it wasn't going great for me at Millwall, because I obviously moved from centre forward to centre back. I wasn't enjoying myself. In fairness, I fell out of love with the game, if I'm totally honest with you. I fell out of love with it. I wasn't enjoying it. I was sort of dreading going to training and matches, and I wasn't quite myself. So I actually had if you want to call it a sabbatical, let's say. So at 14, I stopped playing again. And I stopped playing again probably... So I left Millwall, I stopped playing for probably 6 months, 8 months maybe. And then I was just playing, I think, with my friends. And I was probably playing for my school still at the time, but I wasn't playing for any clubs or anything. And then that's when Dulwich Hamlet started. And I think they saw me play at a game. and they just said to me like, "Oh, come down, etc., etc." And obviously, I think this was I must have got to about 16 then, or 15 then. They have the Dulwich Hamlet have like the Aspire Academy from 16. Yeah. So I was 15 at the time. I was just going into like say sixth form. So they told me to come down and etc., etc. And it's actually a really, really weird story because I never actually turned up to the first day of pre-season because I still wasn't sure on football then. I was still a little bit tentative. I wasn't sure if it was something I wanted to do, if I really wanted to sort of give it my all in a sense. So then I never actually turned up to the first, I think, session or two of pre-season. They actually called me and said like, "What are you doing? Like, what's going on?" sort of thing. And then at that stage, my dad might have said to me like, "Just go, just see how it is." Like, I think my dad, I don't know if he knew Gavin and Junior or he'd heard of them or had a conversation with them. But he just said to me, "Go and just see how it is." And then I ended up going, and yeah, obviously sort of things took off relatively quickly from when I started playing again.
Oh, that's brilliant. Like, but I need to touch on that because this is the bit which stands out to me in most conversations, is that there's always a phase in people's careers where they actually fall out of love with it, and all for different reasons. But you've been quite honest in your sense, which is you enjoyed the thrill of scoring goals. Everyone loves that,
yeah.
Especially as a kid. You know, there's nothing better than hitting the net, and then you get told to go and play centre half, and you clearly don't want to be there, but you can't say no because you're a 13, 14-year-old boy. How do you say no to a big coach? When you did fall out of love with it, did you have people around you that were supportive of you in that sense, where they were like, you know what, if you don't enjoy it, because I know you've mentioned your dad, but were there other people around you as well who maybe were saying to you that, "Nah, Mike, go back, do it, like, don't give it up, you've got the potential"? You know, you have people like that as well.
No. You know what it is? It was more like my mum, she's very supportive, but she's supportive in a different way to my dad. She's more that arm around you, sort of, if there's something wrong, she knows. If you're not feeling something, she sort of knows. So she's that sort of support. So in a sense, around me, I've got that one side from my dad and one side from mum. So in a sense, I had that good supporting base. In terms of the people that were wanting me to get back into it, it was more at school. It was more like, because obviously you're at secondary school at the time, and obviously I was at Millwall. So obviously when you're in an academy in school, it's seen as quite like a big thing. It's sort of like spoken about stuff. So for me, just to sort of leave and just to stop playing football together was kind of like it was a talking point for a little while. So people were saying to me like, "Why have you stopped? Why have you stopped? You should play, etc., etc." So it was more at school. People were sort of, but I think for me, it was always just that the enjoyment for me went. And it might not, I don't even know if it was necessarily the scoring goals thing. I think when I was playing as a kid, I was playing with my friends, and there was a rawness to it. There was just simply that all of you, in a sense, meeting up on a Sunday and you're just having fun.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I left that too early. I think I'd only just started playing for Moonshot. I think I'd only played about 10 games for Moonshot, and it was the happiest I've ever been playing football in my life. And I stopped and I went and played academy football. And I think for me, it probably got all too serious too quickly. I think that jump from Sunday league to academy football, it was very serious. And I think for me, then obviously to go into it and to go from centre forward to centre half, it probably took its toll. Looking back on it now, at the time, obviously you're a 13, 14-year-old kid, you probably didn't see it. But at the time, it probably took its toll, which has probably played a part in why I fell out of love with it, which is maybe why I stopped playing, and maybe I wanted to find that rawness again. Maybe that's why I wanted to just play with my mates, whether it be at Catford Pits at the time, whether it be at goals, whether it be wherever it might be. That's just sort of maybe what I tried to find.
So based on that, like in terms of like what academies do now, you know, because they have a pre-academy set up, and then from the pre-academy you get signed at like sort of, for example, I just use my son as an example. He's a 5-year-old. He's obviously with Arsenal's pre-academy.
Rudy, I'm getting screwed. Could you give me 1 second?
Yeah, go for it.
Mia's coming down.
Yeah, so that's right. So basically, I was saying, so my son obviously is 5, and he's at Arsenal's pre-academy. And at the pre-academy, they try to bring in all the talent in one hit because there's no obligation to sign. So people just come in, it's training once, twice a week, and it's whatever it is. And then we've got like these centres scattered around London in a sense. So there's loads of them. So if you're talking, there's 30 kids in one place. That's 90 kids in total. Now, 90 kids ain't ever going to get signed. We know that. Yeah. So at 8 years old now, they get signed. Do you think kids now don't have the same fun and enjoyment in football because it all starts too soon for them.
Yeah. For me, I can only speak personally on my experience. Obviously, my experience, if I was to have a son, for example, and he decided he was going to play football, I don't want to say I wouldn't let him, but I would want him to enjoy his football for as long as possible. I'd want him to just enjoy playing with his friends and whoever it might be, whatever team he likes playing for. I'd want him to enjoy playing. Just the rawness and just that side of the game, I'd want him to enjoy playing before it all gets very serious, because it all gets very serious very quickly and very fast. And I think sometimes at them young ages, I think it can be a little bit too much for them. Say if he's 8 and then he plays for Arsenal until he's 10, then he gets released. To them, that's like their world crashing.
Yeah.
And there's so much more life left to live, and there's so much more football to be played. And I think there is a lot of pressure from, I would say, parents for their kids to make it as a professional football player. And I think the world is so big, and I think it's so vast, and there's so many different avenues and ways in which not just you can make it in football, but you can just succeed in life. So I think, yeah, if I was to have a kid, I would probably advise him maybe at that age to maybe stay away from the academy setups, etc., so early, and just try and maybe if he does find he enjoys the academy setup and all his friends are playing for the same academy, then so be it. But I would just advise him to play where he feels most happy.
Yeah, because there's that old age argument, like, because when people have this conversation with me, and I always like, I'm of different mind, so I take him to Arsenal for not because it's Arsenal, I could care less about that badge. But I feel like where he's at grassroots, he's the youngest kid at grassroots. I mean, he's a 5-year-old playing under 7s football. So he's being challenged at grassroots anyway. But I think over there, he's got kids his own age. So he can see people that are his own age and his ability. Sure. And he can understand that, wait, nah, I ain't the best. I have to work hard to be the best. And, sometimes when you're young, you get away with a lot of things. Yeah, so I think at grassroots, he's going to be under 7s this year. So this is the real test for me this year, which is now you're playing at your real age group. You're not playing above, you're not playing below. This is your age group now. Do you dominate now or do you not? Let's see. That is basically the aim. But I've always said to myself, come 8 years old, I would have to have a real conversation with myself and with him, whether I want him to sign or not. Yeah. Because like you said, I don't know if he's going to be able to mentally handle that.
For sure.
And that, for me, is probably one of the most important things. Because what I find, and you can probably vouch for this as well, is football is probably 80% your mentality.
100%, yeah.
So if, like you said, at 10 years old, the boy gets released, how much of that mentality do they lose in terms of the game? Do you understand? So do as a parent, do I want to do that? Even though I want the best for him, and yeah, of course, every parent wants their kid to sign at an academy and sign and be the best. But I think real conversations need to be had, and that's why I like talking to people like yourself, because you've been in that journey, you've seen it, you've seen it firsthand. So your advices are probably better even for me as a parent. It's better for me to talk to a person who's been inside the system and be like, well, do I really want that for my son?
I think it's difficult though, because I think everyone's story is sort of different. There's probably loads of examples of players who have been in academies from 8 and they're playing, do you know what I mean, in their teams now, do you know what I mean? And there's probably examples that people that didn't get into any academies when they was younger and at 21 made it, or 17 made it, or 18 minutes. I think there's loads of different examples. I think it's what's best for, in a sense, your kid at that stage. I think a lot of parents, maybe, I believe, that they want their kid to get signed also for them. I think it makes them feel good. Do you know what I mean? They want their kid to get signed to the Chelseas or the Man Uniteds or the Man Cities, because then it's like, oh yeah, my kid plays for Man City or whatever team it might be. So I think there's a lot of that in it, where I think you got to put that sort of aside, in my opinion, and you got to think about, is this the best thing for my child at this stage? And there's loads of different questions you got to answer. I don't think there's any right or wrong answer. I think it is very dependent. Each child is a different case entirely.
So all right, here we go. We're at Dulwich Hamlet now. This is where the story gets fun. We're at Dulwich Hamlet, and you now go on to become quite a little superstar, don't you?
Yeah, you could say that. It seems like a while ago now, but it's sort of my first year at Dulwich Hamlet was tough. Gavin and Junior down there, they're tough. They're a tough pair, and they mentally prepare you, in a sense, more for that man's game. I think it's definitely that transition from being a 16-year-old kid to being a 17, 18-year-old man. And I think they do that transition really well, which is probably why you can see that a lot of people from Aspire do move on and do, in a sense, potentially have careers. I think it's not for the faint-hearted, though. A lot of people do fall along, in a sense, the wayside. But if you can make it through, in a sense, their process, then I would say you are better for it. So my first year there was tough. My first year was sort of a battle, in a sense. I never really got over that mental barrier, in a sense, that probably they were trying to prepare me for, and that process they were trying to put me through, where some people did. Some of the boys in my team, I think 2, 3 maybe moved on to pro teams. And our first year, our team was really successful. I think we got in the FA Youth Cup 3rd round against Newcastle. We got beat 7-2, but that was...
Hey, listen, you played FA Youth Cup against a fully fledged academy, so I don't know, take that.
It was 1-1 at half time as well, so it was, the second half was a bit of a grueling, but...
Was that, how many errors was that from you, centre half?
Me personally, it's actually weird. I think we might have played 3 at the back, or I might have played left back. I might have played left back that game, so I think someone did flick it over my head. I do remember that. To this day, I remember someone, like, I got tight and he just flicked it over my head. And I don't remember if he got on the other side. So I can't really... If he got on the other side, then fair dues to him, but I hope he didn't. But I can't remember. Someone might be able to tell me if he did or didn't. But no, so the first year was tough. The first year was tough for me, and I think it was sort of a kick up the bum, in a sense of there was a lot of things, in a sense, said towards me, and it sort of hit home a little bit. And then the second year came, and I think that year I just sort of kicked on. I think they integrated me into the first team. It's a real weird one. And then halfway through pre-season, they said to me, no. Go and train with the youth team. So in a sense, at the time, I think I must have been 17, a 17-year-old kid, you don't really see what they're putting you through. You don't really see the tests and etc. And at that time, they was testing me. And what they did is they said to me, now you're coming out of the first team, going to the youth team. And they brought another centre-half from the youth team, took him to the first team. And probably at the time, I was probably looking at it like, there's no way this guy's on my level. There's no way. So, and then it was probably a kick up the bum. And then I think I kicked on from there. I got integrated back into the first team. And then I started playing a few games for the first team, and it was going really well. And obviously at that stage, people, like, I think I was 17 playing in the first team. People started to take notice. And then I didn't actually even play that many games before things started to blow up. I think I only played 3 or 4 games. And then I think at the time they were being very careful with what games that they played me in. I think they didn't want to... There were some games where the pitch was just like a bog, and they was like, Chambers, today's not for you. Just go and sit on the bench. So at that stage, I didn't understand it because I'm young. All I wanted to do was just play. I just wanted to play. And then it took off very quickly, and I had the choice at the time whether I wanted to go to Arsenal or to Man United. Both of them were sort of interested, and it just it blew up so quickly. It happened so quick, and at the time, I probably still didn't really understand how fast and how big it blew up. And then I just had a choice which one I wanted to go to, and I just decided I wanted to go to United. I think I knew a few boys at Arsenal, and I didn't want to go there and be too comfortable. I wanted to step out of my environment a little bit. I wanted to go somewhere I didn't know anyone. So I said, let me go to United.
Did you ever talk to the big man?
No. He is a character. He is one of them people. He lets you know that I'm Sir Alex Ferguson and you're small Michael Chambers. We don't talk. So I would see him, he would walk past me, look at me, but it was never a thing where he would come up and have a conversation, because I guess looking at it now, his thing was, you're not in my team, you're not my concern, you're not here yet, you're not in this building yet, so you have to earn that, in a sense, which is, I imagine, what most great managers do, and arguably he's one of the greatest managers who ever done it, so you have to...
Wait, let me just write that down, so ignore him.
So but I spoke to, obviously at the time I went and trained with the reserves, but it was just a surreal experience altogether. Come
on, we need to hear the names of who you're training with. I'm a United fan here, this is big for me.
I'll get into the nitty-gritty. At the time I got there, their complex is nothing like I've ever seen before. It's like Disneyland for all footballers. It's just, you walk in and they've got hydro pools, swimming pools, they've got the gym is the size of an apartment complex. It's got a tennis court, basketball court.
Wow.
The changing rooms are just different. I actually got lost because it was
I've actually had the luxury of training at Carrington.
At Carrington.
Okay. I've had a luxury of training there. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm a fan. I'm a United fan. And when it doesn't matter. I just need to see the badge. I don't care where I am. If I see a Man United badge, I just it's like a magnet. I'm attracted to it.
Yeah, attracted to it. Yeah.
Not so much no more. I'll be honest with you. Since the day, my last game at Old Trafford, I was a season ticket holder at Old Trafford.
Okay.
My last game at Old Trafford was the day Fergie retired. And I'm not ashamed of saying that. I'm fully a fledgling. I'm a Fergie boy all day, every day. After Fergie left, I was like, I ain't come back. That's me done.
It's not been the same since, so it's understandable. But I think it's very hard for any manager to live up to what Alex Ferguson did, in a sense. Same with maybe Arsene Wenger, what he did at Arsenal. I think it's very difficult for another manager to come in and to have the sort of the longevity and the success over that length of period that them sort of managers have had. So it's a very difficult job to. Yeah,
it's one of those where I'm still a Man United fan, but I think I'm more like an armchair supporter now.
For sure.
Because I love them as a kid, and because I've been there, done it, and I'm like, well, my affiliation's not gone, but I'm not that same fan that I used to be. And I used to cry over results. That was me. I don't know anymore. I really don't care now. But yeah, so I go on. You're there. You're in Disneyland. Come on, man.
And I was just I was walking around, and I think I obviously got my training kit. I was in the change room, and then I went into someone showed me to the gym. They said that everyone has to do 5-10 minutes on a bike before we go outside. So I'm in the gym now, cycling away. There's sort of a long row of bikes, 4 or 5 rows, about 40 bikes was given. I'm sitting at the front. I'm cycling away. I'm 5-10 minutes in, and I turn around, and I see Wayne Rooney, Rio Ferdinand, Patrice Evra, people like that just cycling right behind me. And I'm at this stage, I'm like, when you're just looking over your shoulder, I'm like, do they see me? Do they see me? And I'm just sort of I'm in awe at this stage, because these are Rio Ferdinand's probably been my idol from when I was young, and obviously he's got a link with the Aspire Academy, obviously being best friends with Gavin Rose. But so we had a little conversation, but it was I was in awe. I'm seeing players playing for their country and playing for arguably the biggest club in the world. Maybe not. So yeah, it was an amazing.
What year is this, by the way? What year is this?
Oof. I can't remember the exact year. I want to say 2011. I was 17 at the time. I must have been 17. So might have been.
So this time Ronaldo's gone.
Ronaldo went. Ronaldo's gone. Ronaldo's not there. So I didn't see Ronaldo. But everyone else you could think of was in the gym. And then you got Fabio and people like that. I think they were playing basketball or something, or tennis. And it was just sort of this is before training. And then obviously I was actually late out to training on my first day because I got lost. So someone come in the gym and said to me, Michael, we're meant to be, we're out. I was like, all right, cool. So I'm trying to find my way back to the changing room where my boots are. I can't find the changing room. I'm lost. I can't find the changing room. And I think at the time, the reserve team manager, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he came and got me and was like, oh, we're outside. And I was like, I can't find the changing room to get my boots. And he started laughing at me and whatever. And he was like, no worries, took me to the changing room, took me outside. And I didn't get in a little bit of trouble, but I had Adidas boots.
Okay.
And they were blue. And at the time, Fergie had a rule where you're not allowed to wear colourful boots.
Wow. Unless
you're sponsored. If you're sponsored, you can wear them, obviously, because you sort of had to. But you had to wear black boots. So I went outside, got told I had to go back inside and change my boots. And they gave me a pair of all black. They were sponsored by Nike at the time. I can't remember what it was, Tiempos or something. They gave me a pair of all black ones. I had to go back outside. And then I walk out and I'm training with the reserves. And the reserve team assistant manager is Paul Scholes.
Yeah.
So he's a legend in himself. And there's actually a story about Paul Scholes. Before training started, they was he bet someone in the team £50 or something. He said the cameraman must have been about 50, 75 yards away. And he was recording someone or something. And he was like, I bet you I can hit him. Everyone's like, no chance. Paul Scholes just laid the ball at his feet and just zinged it. There was no safety and just licked the cameraman on the back of his head. And everyone just stood there and was just like, oh my God. And it was just like a moment of appreciation, of just silence. And it was just, I was standing there and I was like, right, that's Paul Scholes. And then obviously later on, he went back to obviously play, and he obviously came out of retirement and played again. But obviously in terms of training, I think at first it was sort of like a shock, because the technical ability is something that I was training people like Pogba, Ravel Morrison. Oh my God.
How good was Ravel, genuinely? Like, just a sidebar, how good was he?
Someone asked me this question the other day, one of my friends. And Ravel was better than Pogba. At that age, no shadow of a doubt, Ravel was better than Pogba. But they were both doing stuff. They were both untouchable. They were both unguardable. The way they was just able to create space for themselves, and you couldn't get close to them. Like, in a session, we was doing like one-on-ones and trying to get close to people like Pogba and Ravel Morrison. That they were just, the things they could do with the ball, how fast their feet was, how quick their mind worked. It was just, they wasn't just a step or two ahead of me. They were a step or two ahead of everyone else in the team. And even, I can't pronounce his last name, Adnan Januzaj.
Yeah.
Him as well. He wasn't on quite the same level as Pogba and Ravel, but some of the things he could do with the ball and etc. was just remarkable. And they were the standout ones for me. There was other players like Tyler Blackett. He was a left at the time. He was an athlete beyond belief. He was just an animal, and he would just be in training and just be bullying people.
So you would have had like Lingard would have been about then as well, yeah?
Lingard would have been about. I think I don't really remember playing with Lingard. I think it's difficult. Obviously, when you got people like Pogba and Ravel Morrison at the time, they were more talked about, and obviously Adnan. So they were people that had more, that I would sort of levitate towards, and I would sort of watch. But Lingard was probably there, but he wasn't, I would say, a shining light as much as them ones I just named were, and they were astronomical, the things that they could do, and etc. And it was amazing to.
So you probably just went in after they'd won the Youth Cup, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They'd all just pushed on in. They was obviously pushed on into the reserves and on the fringes of the first team. But yeah, it was that experience was something.
Man, it sounds bad. It sounds bad. Honestly, I'm listening to it and I'm just like, yeah, mate.
And I think obviously it's crazy seeing them now. Like obviously, you see Pogba on TV winning the World Cup and stuff, and you think, at 17, I was playing with him. So it's sort of crazy at the time. Crazy.
So how long were you at United for?
It's actually a really weird story. I was only there for about a week, and at the time, Dulwich, we were still in the FA Youth Cup. So I was up there for, I want to say, about 5-6 days. And it was a really weird one. I had basically a choice. At Man United, they basically said to me that you can't go back to London. And we don't want you to play in your FA Youth Cup game. We want you to stay up here and play in a game for us. And at the time, I didn't really know what to do. I was sort of talking to my dad. I was talking to people around me. And I was like, if I don't go back to Dulwich and play in the FA Youth Cup, that's destroying what I have at Dulwich. But if I stay up here and I play the game, if it goes well, I could get signed. Or if it goes badly, I might not get signed. There were so many ifs and buts at the time, but then I was sort of like, Dulwich have helped me get this opportunity. I don't feel like I can turn my back on that now and just sort of go my own way. I don't know if that was the right decision now, if it was the wrong decision. So I went back to London. And then Man United basically said to me, right, like, well, basically, because you're going back, you can't sign another, in a sense, trial contract, so to speak, with us. We have to basically then watch you play for your team and see if we want to sign you. So I went back to London and played in the FA Youth Cup. We won, and then obviously it sort of came out. Obviously, I was at United, and at the time I didn't tell anyone. I told people that my nan was ill, so that's why I wasn't at college or I wasn't at Dulwich. I just told them that my nan was ill when I was.
How hard was it to keep your mouth shut though? At 17 years old, I'm sure you want to scream that off the roof, like, I'm training at United, like anyone would want to.
For sure, but in general, I'm quite I don't want to say a quiet person, but I keep a lot of stuff to myself. I don't really like to. I think a lot of people, if I was to go and tell people I'm training at United, a lot of people would see it as gloating or showing off. So, and I'm quite a humble person, so a lot of that sort of stuff I do keep to myself. And in a sense, the people closest around me, I keep it enclosed in quite a small circle. So I tried to keep it as quiet as possible for a long time. And today, people still ask me if I actually went to United. So a lot of people still don't actually know.
Well, we got the exclusive. You was at Man United. It's done. It's official, mate.
So obviously, when I came back, it sort of blew up, and people were talking about it and whatnot. And then there was quite a few clubs sort of looking and inquiring, etc., etc. And then, yeah, we had a good FA Cup run, and I probably sort of shot myself in the foot, because we had a second round FA Youth Cup game against I think it was Oxford United at the time, so they was a league club, and I had probably had about 38, 39 clubs watching me from the Premier League, Championship, and wherever, and I probably had one of the worst games of my life. I was really bad that day, really bad. And I don't know, it's after the game, I don't think I spoke for about 2 days. I didn't say a word to anyone. I went training, I didn't say a word, didn't speak to no one for about 2 days. And it was just, in some ways, I was a young kid, I was 17, I had 40 clubs watching me, they was all in the stands, and it was just, maybe it was a little bit too much for me at the time. Maybe I wasn't quite, as we say, the mental game is extremely important, and it's, as you say, 80-90% of the game, and maybe I mentally wasn't quite ready for that just then. And then obviously, there was still quite a few clubs still interested, wanted to sign me, and at the time, looking at it, Palace were playing a lot of young players.
Yeah.
The budget obviously wasn't necessarily crazy. They was in the Championship and they were playing a lot of young players. They were pushing a lot through. So I thought, you know what, this will be a good showcase for me to go there and potentially kick on again. And you know what I mean? Getting in sort of in and around it and see what I can sort of do. So I decided that I was going to sign for Palace. And then I signed a 2.5 year contract at Palace, obviously at 17. And from there, it all was going so well the first, I want to say 6 months. 6 months, I was like at the peak. I was playing, it was the weirdest thing. I was playing in the reserves for Palace, playing every game.
Yeah.
Remember I played against Akinfenwa, one of my first games. And
Beast.
He taught me a lesson. He was an animal. He spent the whole game probably just pinning me, just pin me the whole game. But it was an experience, and I think we lost that game 7-2. He was an animal. I think he scored 4 headers, and he scored that header from the edge of the box. He was just tearing us up. But it was an amazing experience, and I was playing every game, and I was actually doing really well. But then it's weird because I couldn't get into the under-18 squad. That makes no sense, I know. I could start in the reserve team, but I couldn't play in the 18s team, which probably says so much about academy football and the way it's set up, and there's a lot of other stuff going on. I couldn't get into the 18s team, but I was starting in the reserves. It made no sense. And then I was doing really well, and Dagi Freeman come up to me and said to me, like, this weekend we got Liverpool away. You're going to be on the bench. I was like, woof. But then we had like an under-18s game, I 3 or 4 days before that, against Birmingham away. And I played really well. I set up the winning goal. I was doing really well. Things were just on an all-time high. And then I got injured in that game.
Oh.
I got shin splints. So that was a big hit for me, because obviously I was sort of pleading with the physios, let me travel with the first team, let me go. And they was like, nah, you can't, because you're going to travel and you can't be involved. So you're just a waste of a player. So they wouldn't let me go. Sorry. So I never got a chance. I didn't obviously travel to the game, and I had shin splints, and that kept me out for about 3 or 4 months. So that took me basically to the rest of the season. So I spent the whole summer, in a sense, getting fit, doing what I had to do. I came back from injury. I got injured again. I tore my groin. I came back again. I got concussion. Someone landed on. It just
weren't going for you, was it?
We had a friendly, and then someone landed on my head, like with their knee, and I got concussion. That kept me out for about 2 months. I came back again. This was just before the season was about to start. I tore 3 ligaments in my ankle, and then I tore 1 ligament in the back of my knee in the same tackle. That kept me out for 6 months. So the time was sort of, in a sense, was sort of ticking away. I'd spent the first 6 months I was playing and things were going so well. And then I got injured, and then it sort of collided because I had a lot of family stuff, a lot of family trouble going on at the same time. And I was probably as well as it was when I just signed Palace, it was a massive high. It was also a massive low because I was going home from training and there was so much going on, so much other things, and I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of it now. But it's yeah, there was a lot going on, so it took its toll. So football for me was an escape. Going to training every day was an escape, and going home just sort of uprooted all the issues that were going on. And then obviously being injured for long spells, it took its toll. Not being able to play, and in some ways being able to be on the pitch, he was able to exert a lot of that energy and a lot of that stress. But obviously where I wasn't able to do that, it was probably all just building up. Then obviously I had the big injury. It kept me out for a long time. And then I came back, and then I had a little bit of time playing, to be fair. And then I think I signed another year actually at Palace. I signed another year during this stage. So I had another year, and then I think I spent the first 3 or 4 months playing. And then I just thought the best thing for me right now is just to go out and play some men's football. So I'd come back from injury, and I went and played for Welling on loan. And that was also another experience. And that was an experience that I feel indebted to, and I really enjoyed, because that was my first real experience of men's football as a man. Yeah. And obviously I'd been playing men's football at Dulwich when I was 17, but to go back into it, I think this was a few leagues higher. This was in the National League now. Was an experience. My first game was against Maidstone, and they was a tough team. On their AstroTurf at the stage. I was young, they was tough, and you'd get elbowed and you'd get pinched and you'd get kicked, and it was totally different from 21's football. 21's football is more to me, to you, to me. Yeah. Very passive. It's very, you have it, we have it. Whereas that men's football was very at you the whole 90 minutes. It was very, very in your face, and it was an experience. My first game, I found it tough, and I adapted quite quickly. And it was a good experience. It was a good experience. The next 6 months I spent playing there, and I left Palace after that stage. Obviously Palace got promoted. There was about 4 or 5 first team manager changes, and things just changed for me. Yeah. When Dougie and his that was also another thing. When I got injured, Dougie left, and all of his staff left. So it changed things for me, because Dougie had a plan for me. Dougie and Curtis Fleming, people like that, had a plan for me. Whereas the new managers coming in, they had their own ideology, their own ideas. A lot of them were more focused on the first team at the time, and they didn't really care about the 21s. So we sort of got pushed to one side. Unless you was in his plans, then you got pushed to one side. So that changed things a lot for me at Palace. But one of my best experiences at Palace when I came from injury was we had a reserve team manager, Jamie Fullerton, and me and him never saw eye to eye. Never. I don't want to say we hated each other, but I didn't like him, that was for sure. And he probably liked me, but he probably had a funny way of showing it. And like, I remember one day he used to have all these sort of rules, like we wasn't allowed our phones in the training ground. No phones. Okay. And one day he would just burst through our changing room door, and he'd catch you on your phone, and he'd take your phone. And I remember one day he took my phone, and I was raging. And I think accidentally I might have kissed my teeth. And it was the rudest thing I've probably ever done. And I just kissed my teeth, and I was like, oh, snap. You know, like when someone stops their walking and they turn back, and all he said to me was, meet me in the gym, 3 o'clock. That's all he said. And I was like, oh my God, I was so scared. And I've never been beasted so much in my life. There was me and another boy that had to do it. The boy next to me was sick. He was crying. It was like, he was like an army sergeant. Like he used to make us do some things, but he was building character. Yeah. And at the time, you're still young, you don't see it. He would make us do like pull-up tournaments. He would just come in the room and just tell us, you lot in the gym, 2 o'clock. And we would have to like hang on the pull-up bar. And if you dropped first, you'd have a forfeit. Or he would make us do like forfeits on the bike. You had to keep it above like 120 RPM or something. And the first one to drop, you get a forfeit. So he was just like an army sergeant. But he obviously liked me, but I never saw it until right before he left. And he saw something in me, but I never saw it again until right before he left. And it was only 2 or 3 months before he left that I actually started to get him. And I actually saw eye to eye to him, and I understood what he wanted from me, and I understood why he did what he did. Whereas the previous, say, 8 months or whatever before that, I never understood why he was doing what he was doing or why he was so hard on me than he was on everyone else. Like, he used to make me do star jumps on the side of the pitch and press ups on the side of the pitch if I didn't do something right.
You know, I'm writing all this down, by the way.
And I built up an appreciation for him probably too late. So that's one of my biggest regrets, that I never really took the most out of that time with him that I could have done. I never learned as much from him.
Do you not think you were learning subconsciously though?
I probably was learning subconsciously. I just felt like I could have learned so much more if I bought into what he was doing.
Yeah,
I was definitely learning things, because obviously I got to know what he was trying to point, he was trying to put across. But I just felt like if I'd bought into what he was trying to do properly, I felt like I would have really, really understood him, and I think I would have got so much more from his training. And I've had conversations with him since. We speak, and we're good peoples. So it's good. And then obviously my journey took me to Welling. So I after that 6 months I think I spent with Welling, I ended up signing there permanently afterwards.
Okay.
And that was also another experience, because I think the team changed drastically. I think because our team was quite strong, a lot of the players in the team went on to other teams and to et cetera, and I didn't really do my due diligence on the team at the time. So the team was really young.
Okay.
And I signed into a really young team, which is probably at that stage not what I needed looking back on it.
Yeah.
I needed probably to play with someone who was experienced and who I could take things from, and who I could learn from, and who I could be a little bit of a sponge off, in a sense. I think that's what it's good for a young footballer in the game. And I ended up being like the oldest defender in the team. So I found it quite hard. And obviously you're playing against good teams at the time. We're playing against like Forest Greens and Tranmere's and teams like that. And it was a tough season. And the team struggled quite a bit. And obviously because we struggled, there's obviously change of managers, and that sort of, it took its toll on the team and the season, etc., etc. And it was tough. It was tough. And then after that season, I felt like I needed to sort of to find myself again in the game. I felt like because of that season, I got a little bit lost. I felt like I needed to rebuild myself and go back down to the ground and work my way up, in a sense, sort of start again. And sort of, so I ended up going back to Dulwich. And it was different going back to Dulwich the second spell, because I was a man then. I wasn't a 17-year-old kid, whereas a man, you get treated differently at Dulwich. You get treated like a man. And that was a different sort of experience for me. And they expected a lot from me, which maybe, I don't know, maybe my spell at Welling where we lost a lot, I wasn't ready for that mentality. At Dulwich, they have a winning mentality. They want to win. Whereas at Welling, I came from a mentality of where we lost quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say you become accustomed to that, but when you do keep losing and you do keep letting in goals, you do sort of, not you accept it, but part of you does. And I think at Dulwich, that wasn't accepted, to let in goals, to let in cheap goals, to not win games. That wasn't accepted. And that, again, took some time for me to adapt to and to get used to. And it was, even though it took a little bit of time, it was still quite a successful season for me. My first season back at Dulwich, I think we lost in the playoff final though, which was obviously not a great end to the season. But other than that, it was a relatively successful season with Dulwich. I think I learned a lot on and off the pitch. I feel like it helped me grow as a man and as a person. And then going into that second season, it was in a sense go time. We knew what we was going out to do, and we knew what the plan was. And then obviously a lot happened at Dulwich with obviously us losing the stadium.
Yeah.
The owners obviously deciding they were going to pull the plug, so we lost the stadium, and we lost, in a sense, the money that come with it. And we ended up, in a sense, our home games were away from home. We was playing at Tooting and Mitcham. But I think the squad that was put together then was an amazing squad. It was an amazing group of players, and I think through all the adversity, all of us built a bond with each other. Yeah. And I think that helped us through a lot of the tough times. And there's obviously loads of tough times in football throughout a season. There's loads of ups and downs, peaks and lows. So we helped each other through it. And I think obviously the end goal was to get promoted, and that was one of the best feelings I've ever felt in football. Was to obviously, we won a playoff final on penalties, a deciding penalty. So that was, I didn't take a penalty, you know.
Oh,
I
you
didn't.
was a centre forward growing up.
I know. Do you know what? I'm actually okay at penalties. I'm actually okay, but we played 90 minutes. We played extra time. We went all the way to penalties. I was done. Done. I was finished. I think I must have had cramp. I was like, I'm not taking one. You lot, I've done my job. Now you lot go and win this for us. We ended up winning. And I think because of the season, how it happened, us getting kicked out of the stadium and playing somewhere else and all the other stuff that went on, to win that playoff final was, I don't know. The words can't really describe the feeling that you feel. Obviously, people that get promoted, you feel it. But I felt that was a little bit amped just because of the situation. And in a sense, obviously, Dulwich meant a lot to me. They helped me through some times. So it was an amazing feeling. And it's a feeling that I want to feel again. It's an amazing feeling. It's a feeling that I want to feel again.
Hint.
I'll be quite honest in saying that I want to win. That's what I
love that. I love that. I love that mentality.
Before I hang the boots up, I want to win a league. I've done the playoffs. I want to win a league. So whatever team I'm at, that needs to be the aspirations. Otherwise,
so that's my next question. Anyways, what is the immediate plans for the career now? Like, obviously you're at Billericay at the moment. Yeah. Or I don't know if you're still there. I don't know how the contract stuff works with you guys. I don't get it. I just don't understand.
I think my contract's up next week, I believe. So I've got 1 week left as a Billericay player at the moment.
And then, do you have any immediate plans? Are you staying? Are you going? Do we know? Can you tell us? Well, listen, this question, I'm going to stick this out. I'm sending it to Jamie, by the way, yes? So you better be very careful what you say, bro.
I've had a few conversations with Jamie, and I'll say the same thing to you as I said to him. I haven't made any immediate plans. I enjoyed my time at Billericay. I really did. And if I sign there again, I do. At the moment, I'm just sort of focusing on my family and everyone around me and their health and et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, it's uncertain times. There's a lot going on, obviously, in the world right now. So that's sort of what I'm focusing on, the people around me. And once there's a bit more clarity in terms of what's going on, because I think at the moment, no one really knows. We don't know if the season's starting up. I'm hearing this year and I'm hearing next year. There's so many different things. I'm trying to stay away from it, if I'm honest with you, because I think there's so many rumours going on and there's not really, I don't know if there's any truth to any of it in terms of a lot of the stuff that's going on right now. And I don't really like to get involved in too many rumours. So I sort of try and keep myself away from it. So when there's a bit more clarity and when we know what's going on, then it's a decision that obviously I've got a family, so I'll sit down with the missus and whatnot and I'll decide we'll have a conversation about what to do next.
Nah, that's brilliant. Like, listen, this is the first time I've heard the story properly. I've heard the journey properly. Yeah. And it's inspiring. It's got its ups, it's got its downs. You know, you can see it. You can see you've enjoyed your time as much as you had bad points and bad spells, especially with the injuries and stuff. But you've learned from all of those things. I can see that as well. And what people don't know is I actually see you in a changing room and you bring a winning mentality into a changing room. Going now, like, obviously, if I had known all of this stuff prior to you coming, obviously I knew about you. I'd done reports on you and stuff like that, on how to beat you, not even on how to sign you.
I've seen them reports, they're detailed.
Yeah, you know.
I hope you didn't say I was slow. I
said, listen, we put it down this side. We get Femi running on this side of him, we've got a chance, you know. I think back then, I think when we played you, if you were at Chelmsford, if I'm correct.
I was at Chelmsford. Yeah, we gave you lots of work that day.
Hey, listen, that 1-1 is one of the best results of that season. If you understand them.
Trouble.
I don't know if you noticed. I don't know if you noticed in that game, but that was the first game where I think I finally like had a place in the team. Like, okay. Because the previous game we played Concord. Yeah. I'm correct. The previous game we played Concord, we got back. That was my first game in the dugout. Okay. So I'd been around the club. I'd been at training and stuff, but that was my first game in the dugout. And I'd never seen anything like it. The way we got back, the way noobs tore us apart, I'd never seen anything like it, honestly. So when I went, obviously I'm looking at the changing room and how they do things. And obviously, I get Billericay went through a tough time before I went there. So do you understand that? And it was just Gifton and Jamie. And they had the bulk of doing everything. Like Jamie was doing everything.
For sure.
So before the Chelmsford game, I said, look, I just took it upon myself. So I'm doing a report. Like, I'm just going to watch a few games with Chelmsford.
Yeah.
I'll send it to Jamie. If he reads it, he reads it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Like, but I'm gonna try like something in it. And I told him, and I remember, I'll never forget the guy, Matty Welpdale, I think his name is. Was he playing right back? Where's the number 10? I still remember. I remember him. Yeah. I was like, I watched the game. I watched the game before, and he scored twice.
Yeah, from right back. That was a crazy game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went in the pre-match. I said, Jamie, this right back is crazy. Like, he scores goals, he does assists.
He's actually a centre mid as well, you know. He's actually a centre mid. He was actually just covering at right back. He was just covering. He's not a right back.
I don't know this. I'm just watching him. Like, this guy is just unreal. And I said to James, we need to watch him. We need to watch him. This guy we need to watch. Mm-hmm. And obviously, Jamie's done his research as well. He's done his due diligence. He knows what's going on. He knows you're the big guy at the back, and how do we get around you and stuff like that. But it was at half time where, after watching Welps do what he was doing, where Jamie went Rudy, and we had Odie in our team. Odie Alpha was at QPR, and he goes, Rudy, go to the other side of the pitch, and I want you in Odie's ear the whole game. You don't understand how big a deal that was for me, because I was like, I've got a place here now. Like,
for sure.
Yeah, he's giving me the power to be on all these games. And we drew the game 1-1. Listen, I'm taking that result all day. That was a great result for us.
I think as a player as well, there's no better feeling than having a role. And in a sense, a manager, in a sense, say, for example, Jamie, trusting you with that role and putting faith in. I think that's all a player, and as a game for his staff, that's all they want. If a manager puts his faith and trusts in you and believes in you and will, in a sense, ride with you through the highs and the lows, that's all a player wants. And his staff wants, I imagine. And I imagine they will give their all for that manager if that manager puts their faith in them. Yeah,
100%. 100%. Like, and then obviously, but the point I was making is, if I'd known your backstory before you walked into that change room, mate, that would have been even more intimidating for me. Like, for me, I don't even hide it. I don't cover it. Me walking into the Billericay change room, me looking around players like Ronnie and Jake and these guys and the Doug Loft and the Alfie Potters, like, these men have got league appearances.
For sure.
I was intimidated. I was like, why would these people listen to me? Whoa. They have no reason to listen to me. You understand? Like, if you come in there and I know you were bloody working post goals, I'll just fold it there, and then I'm not saying nothing to you, Chamber. But at the same time, it gives me the sense of pride as well to say, well, where I just started as a little youth team coach and just doing my thing, working my way up the ranks and stuff. And then I'm coaching and talking to players such as yourself who have been there with the best in reality. Sure. And that gives me a sense of pride as well to say, well, you know, it can be done. It can be done. Even from someone in a small time like East London area, it can be done.
I think even as the sort of players you named, they've got, as you say, league appearances, and they've done numerous things in the game of football. But I think you're always, in a sense, a student of the game. You can always learn. And I think players like that, with that sort of experience, I think they know if they can get bits of information from a coach. So I think if they feel like, in a sense, you're bringing something to the table and they can take bits from you, then they will respect you for that. So I feel like if an experienced player, or even a young player, if they feel like you can teach them something and they can gain something from you, maybe I'm speaking from my personal experience, if I feel like I can get something from someone and I can extract some information and I can get better for it, then you do sort of have a respect for that person.
Nah, that's brilliant. That's good for me to know that. I don't know if I'm going to be in a changing room with you again. I would love to, don't get me wrong, because people like you bring the best out of me. I know I can't mess up when I've got players like you in the changing room. The likes of you, I know I can't. And that's just part and parcel of life. The same way the same way a player, a management team or a coaching staff wants the players to do for them, it's the same way the players want from their coach as well. It's a two-way relationship. You understand? And I can't expect, like, simple things, warm-ups before the game, prior to the game. I'll always ask, you've seen me, I'll always come to the chamber, can I do something else? Should I do something else? Should I try something else? What were you doing at this club? What were you doing here? Because if I feel like I know it all, I don't think I'll get the respect.
For sure.
And I kind of like bouncing off people's ideas and working. And hopefully one day I'll be that guy where, like, in a state of, I'm never going to be Alex Ferguson, I can never be it. He's the godfather of football managers. But, simple rules like no black shoes. I can bring stuff like that to the academy. These little things, like, trust me, they're massive for someone like me who runs his own youth academy. And them guys watching this is massive for them. But going off that, if you could give one advice or a couple of advices to the youngsters who might be watching, or to aspiring footballers who, because you ain't done yet. Like, personally, my personal thoughts, you're not done yet. You're 25 years old. There's still chance in this game for you. And I definitely can see you going League 2, League 1, like, with ease. I can see. That's my own personal opinion. It'll go to show how much I know about football in 5 years' time. Yeah, but But what advice would you give to these youngsters coming up now? Or if you could give an advice to
my younger self, maybe?
To your younger self, yeah.
Okay. I think my younger self, it's weird. I was thinking about this yesterday. In preparation for our conversation, I was actually thinking about this yesterday. I think before I signed for Palace, I worked hard. Like, I think, just not even necessarily just in terms of football, but I worked hard in terms of, I had like college in the morning, then I had youth team training, then I had first team training, then I had to go home and do homework and revise and whatever. So my day was just jam-packed. So I worked, at the age of 16, 17, I worked hard. And so in looking back at it, I worked hard, and in a sense I had some natural gifts. So that's in a sense why I got signed, probably. Looking back on it now, when I think I felt like that I'd opened the door, so to speak, rather than I just maybe cracked it open a tiny bit. I felt like I'd open the door and I could just walk in, and I would already be welcomed and greeted, and I was going to be a first team player, and I was going to make appearances, and I was going to do this. And I think when you slightly open that door, I think that's when the hard work and whatever you was doing must continue. And I felt like I probably stopped a little bit. I feel like I probably got caught up in the academy mindset, and I probably took my foot off the gas, and I got probably caught up in maybe a little bit in terms of the lifestyle. I got caught up in what was going on, in maybe going to clubs, in this, in that, in doing this and doing that. And I think I maybe got caught up in a little bit. So I would probably tell my younger self to sort of, that I'm nowhere near making it. I'm nowhere near, like, I've just sort of cracked the door, and there's still so much more work to be done to get to where I wanted to get to. I think that's one of the things that I'd tell my younger self. I think in terms of things to tell younger kids, I think there's so many. But I think one of the most important things in my story is to have fun, to enjoy it. I think sometimes to a lot of people it becomes a chore and it becomes a job. And I think if that's the case, I don't feel that you're going to get the best out of yourself and the best out of the gifts you have and your ability. I feel like when you enjoy it, I think you see the best of yourself. I think Femi is an amazing example. Femi's always smiling. He's always got a smile on his face. He's always having fun. He's always in the change room. He's laughing. He's joking. And I think you can tell he's just having fun. And I've obviously not seen Femi play much before Billericay. I saw him a little bit at Haringey last year. He looked like he was having fun. And he looked like he's having fun this year at Braintree and then Billericay. And you can see because he's flourishing. He's scoring goals. He's enjoying the game for what it is. And I thought that's what I would tell any young kid growing up, is to enjoy it.
Yeah, that's I think it's massively important for kids to enjoy their game. Like you said, there's an element of work that needs to be there. You need to nurture your talents. You need to know what you're good at. Sure. You know, I always feel like a lot of times, even coaches, I know you should work on things you're not good at, but I feel like in young players, coaches and parents especially spend way too much time focusing on the things that they can't do rather than the things that they can do, and strengthening those strengths. Because I feel like as a coach, my personal ethos is I want to strengthen your strengths to the extent where they're unplayable. If you look at Iron Robin, I always go back to Iron Robin as a footballer. He only has a left foot. We all know what he's going to do. Everybody watching knows he's going to cut in on that left foot. But guess how many? But nobody can stop him.
For sure.
And you're talking about seasoned pros playing left back, centre back, midfielders, people who know how to tackle, people who know how to read the game. This is their profession. And he still knows how to chop him inside and hit top bins. So, but that's all come from, I don't need to use my right foot. I'm not good at using my right foot, so I won't use it. But I will make my left foot so good that it's unplayable. And I always feel like, I say that to kids, obviously you can't have a million Iron Robins, I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's like for going back to when I was doing your match report. When I'm doing an analysis on a player like yourself, I'm looking at your strengths and I'm thinking, if his strengths outweigh my guy's strengths, I need to attack his weakness and see how he adjusts. But you being a football player, you know exactly what to do in that situation. You know, you're a big man now. You're not that young boy.
I hope so. I'll be in big trouble.
You're not that young boy who was playing against Akin Fenwa for sure. That's not you anymore.
No, that's tough.
Nah, but listen, Chamber, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on here, man.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you very much for having me.
Inspiring conversation. So much to learn from it, and I hope people do watch it. I know people will be interested in hearing your story. You know, this might even actually attract places where I didn't even know that it could possibly go. When I approached you, I genuinely, hand on heart, I didn't think much of it. I was like, yeah, I'll speak to Chambo. Chambo's had a career in the game, blah, blah, blah. It's only when I started to do the research and I was like, oh my God, what? Wow. Like, I was in awe just reading the stuff and I was like, yeah, I'm going to enjoy this one. And I genuinely have enjoyed it. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a United fan and you were there at United. I genuinely have enjoyed this conversation. It's probably one of my favorite conversations to date. And I would love to have you on again, maybe talking about an actual specific subject matter or something like that.
Of course.
Brilliant. Guys, I'm going to leave Chambo's socials down there. Our socials are there as always. Make sure you like it, share it, subscribe, follow Chambo's journey. I'm telling you, if I know football, he ain't done. Someone somewhere, one day, after obviously he's got Billericay promoted and he's got us to where we need to get to.
All right, Jamie will be happy you put that one in.
After he's done that for us, he's going on to league football. We don't mind. You go league football after that. But you can stay with us in National League. That's what we're going next. That's what we're going next.
Who knows what the future? Who knows?
Exactly. Now, but for my part, thank you very much for being a pleasure, not just on this show, but for being a pleasure in the changing room as well. If I don't get a chance to say that to you again, I mean, I've got your number. I'll always be in touch and I'll always follow the journey. But you know how football is. It's hectic.
Yeah, hectic.
You know.
For sure.
If I don't get a chance to be in the changing room again, it's been an absolute pleasure. I have learned in that 6-7 weeks a lot that you couldn't imagine, and you're a genuinely a lovely character. You said you're humble, but I think you're far more than that as well. You bring stuff to the table. You help someone like me. I'm older than you, but sometimes I feel younger than you. If that makes any sense, it's just in terms of football, you've got way more experience than I have, and that helps me. And hopefully, you can see my career go upwards the same way I can see your career. Because maybe we can meet again someday. Who knows?
For sure, definitely. That sounds like a plan.
But if in the immediate future, I'll see you back for pre-season. Yeah, no messing around. And I promise you, I'm gonna bring them tight resistance bands.
You're putting it out into the atmosphere. You're putting it out there.
I have to bring them tight ones because your legs rip my other ones, bruv. Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much once again for coming on. Guys, like, share, subscribe it. I'll see you in a couple of days for another episode. Till then, peace.